Hello, spiritual explorers. Welcome to Hocus Focus, mystical topics for spiritual explorers. I'm your host, Megan Rounds, spiritual connector, healer, energist, and founder of Mystical Mashup. Welcome to today's show where we have guest energy wizard Mark Vollbrecht here to talk with us about Earth Chakras on Earth Day, a wonderful, magnificent day. So I hope you're excited for this conversation. I know I am. Today's guest is also known by the moniker the Energy Wizard because, well, he is one. His energy healings are definitely something to be experienced, and you can do that by attending his monthly show, Wednesdays with the Wizard, in the Lightworkers Lab, or by visiting his website, markvollbrecht.com, where he posts the replay from his most recent show. He is one of my favorite guests and has appeared multiple times on Megan's Mystical Mashup in the Lightworkers Lab. And he goes down in Mystical Mashup history for being one of my, for a couple of firsts. One is for being the first of my shows where I've hosted multiple guests, which was when he was with his wife and kindred spiritual explorer, Marianne, during their holiday in Hawaii. And then he was also my very first guest on Hocus Focus last October, where we talked about parallel timelines. You'll find all of the replays for our shows in the Units section of the Mystical Mashup Facebook group and on the Megan's Mystical Mashup YouTube page. I should note that not all of those have been posted yet, but you will find them there when they are, which will be hopefully today. He lives in Lake Oswego, Oregon with Marianne, his wife of 42 years, cat Maya, and dog Skylar. He and Marianne have 3 adult children and 4 fabulous grandkids, and he's a retired software engineer who remains active, as well as active as one can be these days, as a world traveler, and has so far visited the 1st, 4th, 5th, and 7th Earth Chakras, which we'll hear more about today. Please say hello to fellow spiritual explorer, energy wizard Mark Vollbrecht. Hi, Mark. Hi. Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, as I said, you're one of my favorite guests. I love having you on the show. I love our conversations. And so thank you for, I think we set this up way back in January, maybe the last time we talked with each other. And,
well, of course, you know I just make everything up as we go along.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what makes it so fun. Yeah. So I've been wanting to talk more in depth about this topic with you for some time, ever since it may have even been like our very first mashup where you talked about Earth Chakras, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of them. And so, even though I didn't have Hocus Focus yet, I was like, hey, I want to talk about this more and really learn about what they are and why they're important. So with that, you had wondered if I was going to start out with a question, and you're so ready to go, I can see it. But I'm just going to ask you if you can say a little bit more or a little bit at all about what Earth Chakras are.
Well, I mean...
Or wherever you want to go.
Yeah. Well, chakras in general are basically energy vortexes of some kind. And typically chakras, what we think of as chakras, are maybe stronger vortexes. So, like we have 7 basic chakras that I think almost everyone knows of. And so the Earth, being an entity itself, has corresponding 7 chakras, so same 7 chakras.
Kind of like a fractal.
Like what?
A fractal.
Yeah. So they're, and they're stronger, and they each work in kind of the same way that they do with us. Only they're, how to put it, they're they bring through different things. Like, the crown chakra is connecting to spirit more. Mm. So the crown chakra on Earth is to help bring in more spiritual, stronger spiritual connection to people here on Earth.
Oh.
And, the same with the root chakra, which is for, pretty much grounding. Here again, the root chakra on Earth is to help ground people.
So, go ahead. Were you going to say more?
No. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, no, and it's, when I said like a fractals, for those of you who aren't aware of what those are, first of all, they're like one of my favorite things in the world. So you may have heard me talk about it before or will again, but they're replicating patterns basically. And so when I think about a fractal, I've got the Earth, it's huge for us from our perspective, right? And it's got these fractals that then its inhabitants have, at least from a human perspective, but maybe beyond that.
Yeah. So, excuse me.
Sure.
So there's two different theories about where the chakras are on Earth.
You want me to show that?
Yes, you can if you want. The older one is the one by Robert Kuhn. It's been around for quite a while, and most other websites make reference to that one when they're talking about Earth chakras. I think a newer one is one by Bridget Nielsen, who actually visited all the spots that she mentions. And so, and that one was also, in theory, was apparently confirmed by Bashar, who is channeled by Daryl Anka, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay. So I have this visual up on. Oh, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say I have this visual up, and it talks about those two theories, and then there's a key below it that you may or may not be able to see. So just for those of you watching, I will post this visual in the comments section following the show. But then you can also go there and look yourself, and the URL is listed there below the visual.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess it can be understandable that different people have different interpretations, because these aren't necessarily Earth chakra points, between the two, they are vortexes, energy vortexes. And so just like, we have more than just the 7 chakras. There's people that talk about 10 chakras, where there's one below the root, which is the Earth star, and one above the crown, which is the Soul star. And then they throw a 10th one in there someplace. The one, and some of them they have another one above the Soul star, and another one I saw they have one between the throat and heart chakra.
I found that one. I found 2 that I think may have existed. One is in between the solar plexus and the heart, and I mean, it's not a very creative name, but it's like the action chakra for me. It kind of like gets things going for me. And then there's one in between the heart and the throat that I call the joy chakra. That one I feel it's teal, but it's like when I sit in that chakra, it's like it makes me really happy. So it's like the joy, Anyway, so just to confirm that I have experienced that.
Yeah. So, even though the locations, don't match up, that's perfectly fine. It's not to say that those locations on Earth aren't also energy vortexes. And of course, there's lots more. A lot of people have heard of Sedona, which there's several there. Trying to think of, and I'm sure there's some other ones I can't think of right now. But like we, as people, besides the main ones, we actually have chakras in the palms of our hands,
right,
and in the bottom of our feet.
Well, and one of the things, so like you and I were talking before the show, and I had mentioned this meditation, and it mentioned things like Bali and Florida and things, and you were saying, well, it could be a vortex, not necessarily a chakra, and it makes me think of meridians. That we have chakras and we have meridians, and they're all energy centers. Yeah.
Yeah, meridians are lines between locations, right?
Yeah.
Typically, yeah. So probably wherever 2 medians intersect, it would be a energy vortex.
Well, Ooh, okay. So I'm going someplace you probably had no interest or expectation of going, but I'm thinking of like the prime meridian, or like I just totally, what is it called? What are the lines across the Earth that go up and down and then sideways? I've lost my geography lessons for all time.
You're talking about longitude and latitude lines?
And I'm wondering if there's an aspect of that coincides, and it may not. it's like, because that's more man-made and linear.
Yeah, yeah,
Which makes me wonder, if we mapped all
yeah.
of these out, what would it look like?
All of those.
Oh, the energy
Remember
centers, the
the lines
vortexes.
and the vortexes with the
Yeah. Ooh. Why do you bring
yeah. I
that out
know.
in me, Mark? I always go abstract when we talk
Well, I one of the websites with the chakras, I know they actually have, like they have the Earth out there, and then they have the line going between them, so kind of like a sine wave.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because that's what I'd kind of like
Trying
to see, that just from a visual perspective, what that might look like.
to show how they connect up.
Yeah. So why do you think it's a good idea to know about the Earth chakras? I like to ask you really big questions too.
Well, I would probably say that it's as important as it is to know about our own chakras, to know that they're there, that they're all working to help raise the vibration of the planet.
Yeah, and so and like for those of us who work with our personal chakras, I know that I like to clear those chakras. I like to balance them and center them. It makes me feel more centered and grounded when I do that.
Yeah.
And there are times when I really want to focus on one chakra over another, like solar plexus, which has a personal power kind of aspect to it. So if I want to, if I'm feeling like I'm walking around, not wanting to make eye contact with people and, kind of just in my own shell, I might work more on the solar plexus chakra. And if I feel like I'm being cold-hearted and not particularly warm to people, I might work on the, heart chakra or something.
Yeah.
And so, it takes me to a couple of different places, because you've been to them, some of them. And so, feel free to talk about that, but it sounds like you were going to talk about something else.
I was just going to, you mentioned about you working on clearing your chakras and everything. Gaia, Mother Earth, is so high vibrating that she doesn't need to do it anymore. Hers are always kept clear and wide open.
Do you think that it's something that by, like in meditation or meditation, meditation, however you happen to do it, trying to connect with the earth chakras would be a way to help us clear and maintain our own? Or just even...
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some meditations I've done where they all start off with bringing Mother Gaia energy up into my energy field.
Okay.
And that's primarily for grounding. So that's basically connecting with the root chakra.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not called that at the time, but that's essentially what it is.
Well, and yeah, a lot of meditations that I've experienced do that as well. They want to make sure we're grounded, and we, invite in Gaia energy. But it always does seem to be focused on the root or earth connection.
Yeah. And that's all of a sudden I'm getting coughs. Sorry.
Okay, loving energy to Mark's throat chakra.
So, and that's because that's the way we think of it, because we walk around in Mother Earth and our feet are hitting it, so we're grounding.
Mm-hmm. But yet the earth. Go ahead.
I was just gonna continue to get along that, So that's the way we perceive it. So even if we're not consciously thinking, bringing in, grounding energy, it's kind of by default, that's what happens.
Sure. Well, and I was thinking more in terms of, since the earth has multiple chakras, as do we people, does it make sense to also connect to earth, like try to connect to those specific earth chakra aspects of the earth, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact, you might try sometime when you're doing a meditation. First, connect to the Earth Chakra or root chakra of Mother Earth,
yeah.
and then say, okay, now call in the crown chakra energy of Mother Earth.
Ooh, yeah. I really want to try that now.
so you have the grounding from the root chakra, but then the connection to spirit from the crown chakra.
Yeah. Well, and for somebody, I'm a person who has always been challenged to be grounded, to stay grounded. I can be grounded, but to stay there has always been a challenge for me. I'm usually, I float up here a lot of the time. And I think I'm getting more grounded the more work I do with energy and things like that. But even so, now I really want to try that connection to different chakras on Earth to see and feel what those sensations are like, and if in fact it brings about a different kind of grounding.
Yeah. And if you're not at the location, then who cares where the location is?
Yeah.
But if you go to any of the locations where the chakras are, you get a stronger presence of it. I guess would be the way to put it.
Well, and you had mentioned how, because I think I'd asked you before, how do people determine these locations?
Well, I'm not sure how the Robert Kuhn one did it, but I know that Bridget went to each of those locations. And I don't know if she went to other locations as well, but she went to those and just felt the energy to see what kind of energy it was.
Yeah, and so just bringing up this grid again, I want to point out, even though the key is located here, that well, and maybe you want to talk about it, those comparisons and what that key really represents, because I find that fascinating.
What part of it is fascinating?
Okay, so first of all, that people have identified these spots as chakra locations, that there is at least one that they agree both on the chakra as well as the location.
Right.
But the locations are fairly consistent, right?
Yeah.
They just aren't always in agreement to which chakra it is.
Yeah, each system has two unique locations. But then they've got 4 locations that are in both, but have different chakras located there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that goes a long way to show that, there is definitely strong energies in those locations.
For sure. And it's kind of interesting. Some of those chakras are very close. Like one is like heart or throat chakra for Glastonbury, or what was the other one I saw that seemed really close together? The Himalayan mountain one is crown or third eye, so they're fairly close, and that energy then is kind of similar, I would imagine.
Yeah, although the interesting one there probably is the fact that Mount Shasta, in one is the root chakra, and in the other one is the crown chakra.
I thought that one was interesting. Yeah. Kind of night and day.
Yeah.
Now, you've been to that one, right?
Yes.
So, people don't know how your interaction with energy works. So, so the natural question would be, how did it feel for you? But we'll let you talk about what that means to you.
Well, you mean the fact that I don't feel energy typically?
Yeah. So you're known as the energy wizard, and you are really just amazing at transmitting energy, channeling energy, but you don't feel it yourself.
No, not really. There's the occasional where I feel a slight, I guess you call it a slight buzz, or tingle, maybe even. But that's about, and it's just a tingle. There's no defining type of tingle with it. I mean, it could be, an earth root
Earthquake?
chakra
Oh,
type, a root chakra energy or crown chakra energy, and it would still feel about this. It would still feel the same, just a slight tingle or something.
sure. So what compelled you to go to
Which,
these? Oh, go ahead. I can ask my
well,
question in a minute.
so, so I was going to say that I mean, there's actually a reason for my not being able to feel that energy. Because if I could feel it, I would feel it when I was transmitting or sending energy to people. And by my feeling it, I would be interacting with it, whether I intended to or not. So by not feeling it, I'm able to bring that energy through very cleanly from source.
Pure source energy.
Mhm.
If you could bottle that.
Kind of like putting time in a bottle.
Yes. Now, if you can do both of those, then we'd really be, I'd be your first and best customer, I'm sure. So you've visited a number of the chakras. Was it
Right.
4 or 5? I put that in your introduction then promptly.
Yeah, 4.
Was it? Okay. So what prompted you to visit them? And did you know about them when you went the first time, at least?
No, I didn't. Most of them I didn't know about. Which ones were they? Yeah, Glastonbury I didn't know about. Uluru I didn't know about. I think I knew about Mount Shasta by the time I went there the first time.
So what happens when you're there? I mean, is it just like a place for you? Did other people around you who were visiting with you experience something different?
Well, typically I would, even before I kind of knew they were something, I get this feeling that I needed to do some kind of energy work at it. In actually the first one, in Glastonbury, I think it was the first one, I didn't even know that I could really channel energy like I do. But I just, found a nice quiet spot, sat and said, okay, whatever.
So you were automatically attracted to it, but you didn't necessarily realize why.
Why, yeah.
And now it makes perfect sense to me, especially for somebody who does transmit it. I don't know if you like that word, so I'm trying to find the other word, but like channel it.
Channel.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, that you're getting that pure energy when you're in those places. I'm assuming that's kind of a part of why people may want to go there, is to experience it.
Yeah.
Pure, like, to use my vast vocabulary. I channel, meaning I don't, let's see. Yeah, I'm just the connector between source and wherever it's going to. Now, I know
kind of like a vortex.
Kind of,
which,
yes.
Which a vortex is just bringing energy through from someplace to here.
So do you tap into those, the different chakras or other vortexes when you work to channel energy, or are you going directly to source, or how do you... I know this is about Earth Chakras, but I'm always very curious about your own process.
That's okay. I don't put any thought behind where it's coming from, because I just ask for whatever is needed for the person. So I don't care where it comes from, because our source knows a lot better than I do what they need.
Yeah. Yep. Which
so
goes.
I'm basically just opening up that channel to allow it to flow through to them.
So you're almost like a human vortex, because like you said, it's from one place to another, and you're like that conduit, like you'd said, and it's like, okay. Well, so...
Yeah, and just like a little bit more on that. The way I've likened it to some people from time to time is that I'm kind of like the delivery guy. I pick up a package from source, take it and drop it off with whoever needs it. I have no idea what's in it.
That's pretty cool, actually. I like that. Now I just see you in a little delivery outfit, and wizard hat, just to make it really fun. So how did you become interested in Earth Chakras? Because you put this comparison up on your site. I'll show that again. And so
Yeah.
clearly there's some interest there.
I don't. Well, I guess I visited a couple of them, and I found out that there's somewhere I heard about Earth Chakras. I don't know whether I was looking chakras up on some line and something said Earth Chakras, and I started looking and said, "Oh, well, I've been there, and I've been there, and what is this?" And then I thought it was interesting for a while, and then I went back again later and did more looking for. I don't remember why. I found the other set of the other theory.
Do you have an interest or goal of visiting all of them?
Yes, at some point.
Very cool. So remind us which ones you have visited. I'll keep this visual up so people can kind of look at.
Well, I have a little asterisk at behind each one.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot to include that part in the visual. So now the asterisks after the name are the places that Mark has visited, the chakras Mark has visited.
So Mount Shasta, Glastonbury, Maui, Hawaii, and Uluru in Australia.
And the first one you visited was
Glastonbury.
Okay, that's right. Now, when Mark and his wife Marianne came on my mystical mashup, or Megan's mystical mashup in the Lightworkers Lab, they were at Maui. Yay, we were at an Earth Chakra.
Which, well, actually, it's on the Maui Island. The location for I think the location there is actually at Mount Haleakala. I don't think I pronounced that quite right, but
that's okay. I'm sure we'll forgive you.
It's the one really big mountain there.
Did you hike it then, or did you just kind of go nearby?
No, we drove up to the top.
Okay.
There's actually it's a national park there. Actually, it's an old volcano.
Now, did Marianne experience anything, or have you read about experiences people have when they do visit these different chakras?
I believe Marianne experienced something. I don't remember what at this point, or if she actually told me what she did.
I should have invited her onto this one.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, but when I went through the last time I went up on top of the mountain to that Earth Chakra, I was doing energy work. You
mean energy work for yourself or to channel?
No,
okay.
Channel.
Wow.
I was channeling some energy.
Nice.
I was just like, okay, I'll open up, bring it through, whatever it is that needs to come through here.
That's fabulous. So, for somebody like me, where this is a fairly new concept, what is the real attraction to, why, I think I'd maybe have asked this already, but kind of why would it be good to know about these? In your view.
Well, you did ask. I don't remember what I said, so it depends on where you're at in your spiritual growth, I guess. And if you're trying to get more connected in some way, that might be helpful to go there. In some cases, like for me, when I go to these sites anymore, it's not about me getting the energy, it's about me doing some kind of energy work, bringing through some kind of energy at that location.
Do you think that once you've visited one that you have a stronger connection to that particular location than when you are, in channeling mode?
No.
Okay.
but that's my personal viewpoint on it.
And I can see. For me, it may be different because I do feel energy and that. But at the same point, I've gone to some places that they're not necessarily, they don't fit in the chakra grid. I'll show that again. They don't fit in what is listed here, but they are places that people have talked about being mystical or spiritual in some way, shape, or form, and I haven't always felt that. But I wonder if going there, if for me it would be easier to connect with it after the fact, if nothing else, because I'd have the visual and the emotional experience of it that make it a stronger connection for me, who uses emotions as a pretty significant part of what I do or live.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you aren't that way, but for me, it's like emotions are big. So when I connect, oftentimes I do connect at an emotional level. And I wonder if having that experience of being there in person might actually create that connection in a stronger way than thinking about it in theory without having that experience.
Yeah, I think it would. Because you then have something to relate to.
Yeah.
More so than just by looking at a picture or having someone tell you about it.
Yeah. Well, so based on, are these when you visited them, so like there's Mount Shasta, and then there's the mountain in Maui, and there's one in Tibet. I'll show it again. I keep going back and forth because I want to see them too. But Glastonbury doesn't necessarily have a mountain.
No.
But Mount Fiji, Lake Titicaca is in the mountains, I think, isn't it? It's not a mountain. But it does seem like there's a lot of, like the mountains tend to be those things that are in Uhuru. Is that mountainous?
Well, Uluru is a big rock, or it's the English name for it is Ayers Rock.
Okay.
But it's like a mountain, but it's one big solid rock.
Right.
And it's very spiritual to the Aboriginal that lived there. In fact, I'm not sure if it's happened yet, but people like to climb it, and they're going, no, you don't climb that. It's a religious thing, and they were working on closing down
Protecting
being
it.
able to climb. Yeah, they didn't want to just cut it off cold turkey, so to speak. But they started really asking people not to.
Just as a sign of respect.
Sign of respect, yeah. And they're saying, hey, look, it's not that easy of a climb. They have one or two people die every year climbing up to the top.
Yeah. Now, I'd asked you how people found out about these chakras before, but I'm wondering, do you know anything about historically if these are places people gravitated to in one way, shape, or form?
Good possibility. I know the Aboriginal in Australia have, I think it's a creation story in connection to Uluru.
Well, and then I was thinking like, Mount Fuji. I don't know the history of Mount Fuji, but certainly it's, got a strong historical element to Japan. And Lake Titicaca too. Really, I wonder if maybe that's what drew other people to experience the energy of those areas to decide. Because, do you even know how the idea of Earth Chakras came up?
No, I don't.
Because that's, I'm curious how old of an idea that is.
Yeah.
I'm just writing.
I don't know. But once you, at least for me, once you see it, goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. Of course.
Well, say more about that.
Well, we have chakras. Why can't the Earth have chakras?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I would say we talked about. Yeah.
Well, of course. You know,
Well,
it's one of those things you don't think about until someone says something, and then it's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
yeah, and so it does, and I hadn't, until you even brought up the concept of Earth chakras in the first place. It's like, oh yeah, well sure, why not? And I mean, are there things associated with those chakras in a similar way that we associate them to people in terms of, excuse me, like colors or themes? And you may not know, which is okay.
I'm not sure about colors, but I know. I mean, you'd probably use the same colors that you use for our chakras. Primarily because here again, the root chakra is going to have the same category of energy. I guess maybe a way of putting it. Same type of energy. And the crown chakra, the solar plexus, throat, they would all have similar type of energies.
Yeah.
So they would probably have similar type colors.
So going back to that, if we were to work with the earth chakras as a part of our personal chakra work or energy or spiritual or metaphysical work, that could be that if we connect, invite in the earth's energy or energy at that chakra, that it may amplify or in some way enhance that experience. So, like there's, like you had said, the root or the crown, but I think we could do that for any of them. So like throat chakra, maybe what I do is I go and I meditate on throat chakra and try to connect to the earth's throat chakra, one of those locations. And
and you don't have to worry about the location.
Yeah, it's just earth chakra. Earth throat chakra.
Yeah.
And
who cares?
It doesn't really
where
matter.
It's at?
Yep, you're right. It doesn't matter. There are theories. It's not like at this point we have scientific evidence supporting one or the other.
Because what you're after is the energy.
Yeah, and so that might be a really fun thing to try. It's something I'm interested in trying, just to see what that's like. And I used throat chakra because I had mentioned that allergy season is coming up with the spring and all of these things coming up. But that might be a really one to work on, because I think I'd feel it, because that's an area that's always been somewhat blocked for me from a chakra perspective. And if I'm channeling in earth chakra energy, I'm pretty sure I'll notice, because it'll be different than what I normally feel, And so I would suggest that as a way to work with earth chakras for those of you listening, if you're curious about how might you incorporate it. But I'm interested in hearing any other ideas that you have, the viewers, but also Mark, anything else that you can think of that might be interesting to incorporate from an earth chakra perspective in regular practice.
I can't think of anything right now.
You had said early on that these chakras don't need clearing because they're direct Gaia energy, and so our sending healing to those chakras seems like it might be moot. Do you think of it that way?
Well, I've actually heard it explained that we don't need to send any healing energy to Gaia, to Mother Earth, that she's here sending healing energy to us to help us. She doesn't
healer.
need the help.
Yeah, she does seem to take things into her, take matters into her own hands, if, to rebalance and things like that. Some may say. I personally do believe that's what's happening, but, it's like I'm trying to think of, do you, we've never really talked about other practices that you have beyond energy. And if you do other practices, like some people I know have ritualistic practices and dabble in paganism, or maybe are full-fledged pagan practitioners with the Wheel of the Life and things like that. And I wonder, even thinking about the Wheel of the Life, which is another topic I've had here I talked about on Hocus Focus with Stephanie C.
Yeah.
Weinman. If maybe, I think that she had brought forth different chakras that accompany that, those cycles. And if she didn't, then, well, maybe that'll be another program, because I think it would be really interesting to overlay I'm all about mashups, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, looking at different times of year and connecting at a deeper level to those earth chakras may really be a wonderful way to enhance those practices in some way. And and also like earth chakra energy for gardening and, things like that, or food.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think about the possibilities, because it is something that I don't know much about. It's like there are all kinds of possibilities out there. It's not like somebody's going to say, no, you can't do that. It's like, we could do whatever we want with them. But I think that coming up with some ideas on how we might bring those forth, that energy forth, would be fun to play with. Because people have different practices and different, things that are important to them, spiritually and metaphysically. And this is just another way to really explore earth-based energy, but through a chakra system.
Yeah.
Well, oh no, I was gonna say something else, so I didn't mean like, well, I'm waiting.
Did you have another question there?
No, I was just going to ask you if there was anything else you'd like to share about earth chakras. And, if anybody has a question to ask of Mark about this topic or other things, feel free to chime in. We've got about 15 minutes left. But we don't have to stick around for 15 minutes. So if you don't have anything else to share, we'll probably end a little early. Just totally okay.
I can't see the feed from people making comments. Were there any questions there that?
So far, I haven't seen any. I did put a couple up on the screen. One is that your daughter gives powerful energy too, must run in the family. And that's wonderful energy from you and her. And then a couple of hellos.
Yeah. Okay. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Watch it. As soon as we go off, I should have said that.
Well, go on if you think that, add them to the comments. Feel free, right? Because then anybody who watches the replay can, benefit from that if they're looking at the comments too. And people who are on here now will get notified, most likely, of those comments. So that happens to me all the time. But then I always have the opportunity to share later in the comments. So it's like pretty cool.
Yeah. So there is one thing that when you were talking about, when you do a meditation, pulling different earth chakras, one thing I thought about when you were talking about that is bringing in all 7 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Doing for,
that
to line up with each of your chakras.
That is something I'm going to try today. I love that idea. Because talk about, I'm using the word powerful in a very energetic way. It just seems to me like there's a lot of, that it sounds like it would be a really great way to clear those chakras quickly and align them. And, because we're on Earth, it's like, not that, that's automatically closer energy, but in a sense, it's like we're connected to Earth already. So connecting to the chakras of Earth seems to me like that would be, just a really comfortable way to align it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now I want to do it. Do you lead?
Okay, let's get off. I'm
Do
gonna go do this.
do you lead meditations by chance? Because you could walk us through one, but I know that's putting you on the spot, and I do not expect it. So usually we talk about those things ahead of time.
Yeah.
That did not come up in our conversation before.
No.
But, well, then I
Yeah.
would suggest for anybody interested to give that a try. And if you give it a try, especially today, put your experiences, your feedback into the comments section here for anybody who watches the replay, but also to keep the conversation going between us, which I love to do. I will be going back and looking at the comments and tagging Mark on anything that I think is important for him to see if he doesn't go there and look at them himself. I believe we talked about having a meal before going back to the comments. So just so you're aware, it may be a couple of minutes or longer, like an hour or so. But either way, we'll go back and look at the comments. And Mark, I just thank you for coming on and sharing this wisdom about Earth Chakras with us. I really appreciate everybody for joining us today. And thanks again, Mark. And I wish everybody a happy Earth Day and happy new moon and magical mystical week and beyond. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.